John was working in his science lab, got blasted by gamma rays. Now he's Smash Trivia John, always smashing. He's friends with Ruffalo, in love with Aslan, and also some arrow weaving. John's here saying, hello my gamma friends, welcome to the show, the Gamma Analysis Podcast.
And hold. Smash.
Hello, my Gamma friends. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, I'm going to review all things Hawk, all the movies, TV shows, and I also do random other geeky films. Hope you enjoy. Smash Trivia presents the Gamma Analysis. I want to ask everyone listening, please do sign for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends. If you don't, Hulk will be angry. Now let's smash right into this episode. Today's episode is a review of Flash Gordon, and with my friend Brayden. And how you doing, Brayden?
I'm doing okay.
All right. I really enjoyed this movie. I love the retro sci-fi feel of this. Like after watching it, like I'm so curious about like what Taika Waititi will do when he eventually does his remake of it, because I think that I think that he can make something really special with this.
Oh no, I completely agree. When I was rewatching the film again today, right before recording, a friend of mine, when he heard about the fact that Taika was considered or was being considered for Flash Gordon with Chris Hemsworth, he was kind of like, that makes sense. I can see it because it's Thor Ragnarok, and obviously there are some other directors that I think could do a colorful job with the aesthetics of a remake and a reboot. I do think a new Flash Gordon movie or show will happen. It keeps coming back. It's even currently in comics. There was a TV show in 2000s. There was even a cartoon crossover show called Defenders of the Earth, where Flash Gordon teamed up with the Phantom and Mandrake the Magician and fought Ming. And that cartoon even got a comic too. Where that's like
sort of a similar thing to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where they just put together a bunch of public domain superheroes together.
Yeah, because I think there might be some rights things, but like from the way Flash Gordon was in the 1930s, so the way, for all I know, there might actually, some of it might be public domain. I don't know. Gotta double check there because the rights do keep bouncing a bit. But the older he gets, the more public domain he'll eventually become, because he's not a super copyrighted character like with most Marvel and DC characters.
Yeah, definitely.
It's I really love this film a lot. It's generally like, it has a cult following, so it's not underrated. People know it's one of it's a very sincere science fiction comic book superhero movie, especially and. Because even when I was rewatching it, and even as a kid, I was kind of like, some moments from this movie feel like something from an old comic, and then it clearly is. And also, it reminds me of some of the black and white Flash Gordon serials I saw. And also, one thing this did, because this came out in 1980, one thing this did that I think only Superman the movie did in 1978, the whole idea of showing the comic pages.
Yeah.
Right. And even decades before what Marvel did, what the non-MCU Marvel films did in 2000s, where they would have the splash pages in the opening logo. So I'm like, oh yeah, so the opening credits with the song, the amazing song by Queen about Flash going to the comic panels, that's kind of a trendsetter in a way.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And I love when comic book films actually embrace stuff like that. That's one of the things I find so cool about the 2003 Hulk movie. Is that Ang Lee used comic panels as transitions for the for different scenes. I think that's such a unique little touch that really makes it feel comic booky.
Oh no, I completely agree. I love the editing in that film too, in the comic book presentation of Hulk 2003. And I'm actually also kind of, and I think the only other comic movie that did that afterwards was well, actually three. Um, Red. I think the Red films has some like comic book
I think there's
transitions.
some of that in the Red films, and
Yeah.
there's also in the animated Spider Verse films they do
Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh
that a
yeah,
lot.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They did that too. And of course, I think Scott Pilgrim, they had like some like
Yeah,
comic book like presentation, just visually at least.
hmm
I think even
yeah.
I think I remember the Seth Rogen Green Hornet movie. They did that panel by panel, like lines throughout the thing,
I
some
don't
stuff.
I don't remember that particularly, but that particularly having it, but I wouldn't be surprised. As yeah, but yeah, it's a really cool thing. You know, something I find so cool about this is how like now obviously a lot of things weren't like particularly based on this film, but like a lot of things from those old Flash Gordon and comics that appear in this film end up being the inspiration for a lot of other things in comic book media.
Oh yeah,
One thing that I think was really interesting in this is that I think is one of the of all the examples where this actually took from something else is I think one of Ming's generals is pretty clearly based on Doctor Doom.
or no, 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 exactly. It's one of those things where like it's clearly from the same era. Like just like because even like the face mask is cool, the way it moves, and funny enough, I remember my brother Brandon, he likes Zack Snyder's Justice League version, but
Mhm.
one of the things he has an issue with is that Desaad, the henchman, Darkseid's henchman Desaad,
Mhm.
in that movie, he looks so much like the gold face guy in Flash Gordon, and he's like, I know Zach's referencing this, but like, wait a minute, what? It's like, so he's like,
I
how the
mean,
hell?
I could absolutely see Zack Snyder referencing Side from Flash Gordon, even though Flash Gordon is not his style at all.
Yeah, yeah. And also, obviously we got the Hawk people being
Yeah.
the direct inspiration for the Thanagarians in DC. Like it's such a
Mhm.
like even some friends of mine when they see it, they're like, it's almost the same thing. It's like because with
Oh yeah.
Hawkman and Hawkgirl, the only thing that makes them different is their signature logo on their chest and their battle mace.
Mhm.
But in the Flash Gordon movie, the Hawk people they have swords, but they also have like these little clubs that look like a
Oh yeah.
mace.
Which like I particularly with like the Hawk people, um I don't think like the Hawk people that we've got in DC movies
Mhm.
look a lot like them, but I think that the version of the Hawk people we got in the Arrowverse really look like them.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And even like I even think like Just League Unlimited too. Like some of the cartoons kind of reference
Mhm.
it's because Flash Gordon really is a blueprint for so many things. I
Oh
know
yeah.
he's one of the inspirations for Peter Quill in my old school Marvel comics. He was very much a Flash Gordon hero. He obviously for George Lucas, Flash Gordon was inspiration for partly Han Solo and Luke Skywalker in the original film. So like it's one of those. What's funny is that like this movie came out in 1980. Flash Gordon, but it does feel like a true proper return to the serial, like return to 1930s,
Mhm.
thing. But and also like, a lot of the map paintings and the costuming is so incredibly impressive, so
Oh
incredibly
yeah.
colorful.
But one thing. This is a small thing in the film, but I think actually, if this was signed that was in the original comics,
Mhm.
I bet actually was like an inspiration for signing in Dune. Is like like when they're in that forest area and they have to stick their hand in
Mm.
that um thing that might kill them. And I'm pretty sure I remember in the first of the two, at least modern Dune movies, there would be
Yeah.
any sign that it was exactly like that. That you have to stick your hand in.
Oh no, no, that's the thing where like Frank Herbert, the author of the Dune books, I know he did read science fiction magazine books. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did read Flash Gordon. So that and there is like, I think in real life cultures there's similar stuff too. I generally wouldn't be surprised if like Frank Herbert read a Flash Gordon book that was in there, and he was like, let me do my own version. And it's like, because like
Yeah.
that's the thing with Flash Gordon, especially this movie. And I think it's one of the reasons why like some people do want a reboot or like a new version, because if there's a lot of like sincere like classic science fiction that and Flash Gordon's referenced so many different things, but also like uh you know the fact that all the villains in this movie don't look the same, like even the henchmen, like the low tier henchmen, them having like the red stormtrooper like outfit, whatever, that makes sense. They're the
Mhm.
the soldiers, but the fact that Ming and all of his like trusted lieutenants have a distinct costume that
Yeah.
makes them stand out, to me that feels like classic sci-fi.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
I think the one thing where I was a little bit annoyed by I in regards to things not being not standing out is I was always getting confused. It was what scenes were Dale and what scenes were Princess Allura,
oh yeah,
because they look so similar,
oh
and I don't
I
think they did a good enough job at differentiating their looks throughout the film to make sure that they didn't you don't have trouble knowing which is which.
Oh no, I understand that there is a moment because like the sets are wonderful, beautiful. I think I remember one point I did as a kid, and even now recently rewatched. The only time I got confused is when she and her run together in like in the one of the gray hallways, and they're trying to meet up with some of the other heroes during the third act. That was the one thing I was like, wait, well, hold up. I thought I thought you were somewhere else. I was like, shit.
Yeah, the moment where I particularly was like I was confused was like when and I think it was Princess Laura who was being tortured.
Mm.
Orchard, and I was like wait, wait, I. For a second I thought it was the was Dan. I was like, wait, I thought she'd gotten out of there. And it was like, oh, this is the other one. And I didn't remember like that she'd gotten captured,
Oh no,
which I
it's a
watched it twice and I still don't remember
oh no,
where she got
it's
captured.
no, it's a cut. Like even as a kid, I always felt like okay, if there was a scene of Laura getting captured, they didn't. If it was filmed, it's not in the film. Like it's one of
So,
those things where
so
it just
that's what.
cuts.
So I'm not weird. It's not weird that I was confused confused thinking that was Dale.
Oh no, no, because it is one of those things where they're like, because remember she says goodbye to Timothy Dalton's character and to Flash. Say, I gotta go back to Daddy, and then they're doing their thing, right? And then of course we see that Dale's escaping, and then it cuts to that the princess got captured. Oh shit! So like it's a great
What?
cut, but it is kind of funny if you like if you turn away. It's like hold on. It's like
Oh, one thing I noticed on my second watch that I was like, I was it was so weird to me. So pretty quick after they get to this planet, um, Ming uses his ring on Dale, and it's super uncomfortable.
yeah,
Obviously, it's that's happening. But then he either him or his advisor mentioned side that is makes it so much weirder. They said that she is just as good as your own daughter,
yeah.
which means that Ming has been doing sexual things to his own daughter too.
Well, that's the thing because like I remember I was rewatching this film with our mutual friend Kara. She has a
Mhm.
chance to watch the rest of it later. But when she and I watched it, she's like, "This is a very horny film." And then I was like,
Oh
"Well,
yeah.
it's produced by some Italian producers." And she's like, "That makes sense." And then so of course I started
The
laughing about that.
one of
But
the
that moment it shows how Ming is evil because he's clearly like a super like evil, truly like
Mhm.
tyrant. And the fact that he does it just to see what she would do. And like this, there's an implication of some type of psychic energy he likes in her that he wants to take advantage of. Which sure, like with Mainstay introduction in this film, not only does we see him kill someone, right, off the bat, and then and then we also see him do that to her. I'm like, what the like? It's such a great like they really do show there is no good in him. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I was just like very surprised when they mentioned that about his own daughter. It was like,
yeah,
oh, so he's also being very weird and creepy towards his own daughter,
yeah.
and then not only that, but like I feel like as the audience, we are supposed to take that as just a very uncomfortable moment, as he's doing that to her. Flash Gordon afterwards was like, "That was magnificent," and
Yeah.
he liked that was happening to her, and how it looked. I'm like, hey, I'm like, nothing about that was sensual at all. It's weird that he's taking it as if it is.
No,
That Flash Gordon is taking it as if it is.
it's such a because that's the thing because this is produced by Dino De Laurentiis, who's kind of a very famous producer who's also very stubborn, you know.
Yeah.
And so there are many times where like whenever something weird happens in this movie, I'm like, is it his idea? Yeah, I mean, so I'm like, is it his?
To be fair, there though, this film makes a hell of a lot more sense than one of his other films that I've seen, Barbarella. Barbarella
Yeah,
makes no sense whatsoever.
yeah. And it was funny. I remember watching that film as a kid, and I thought it was just me as a kid being confused. But even then, I was rewatching it years later. I'm like, wait a minute, this makes no fucking. And then what
Like
really killed it is that like even people who've actually read Barbarella were like, this is more straightforward than this fucking film, which is funny to me.
a few months ago, I did an episode of my podcast where I reacted to watching Amy Barbarella for the first time,
Mhm.
and I was like, I the whole time was just like, what is going on? I have no idea what's happening in here. Like, I expected like that. Based on everything I've heard about it, I expected, oh, this is gonna be a movie. I'm gonna love it. Of it. This is a very horny movie.
Yeah.
But then I watched it. I'm like, this is just weird and confusing. I don't know what's going on here.
What's funny? With Flash Gordon was, yeah, I mean, obviously it's a very simple story, but there's a lot of sincere heart in the script because like there's
Oh
even
yeah.
like some moments from this movie that's from the comic, from the serials, like even the whole like thing with Zankoff and the rocket. I'm like, because as a kid, I was like, this is very old school science fiction. The logic of this crazy guy just kidnaps two random people and puts them in the space and then go up into space by themselves for them to get taken by Ming's empire. I'm like that's how you do it. I'm like,
One thing I was as I was watching it again today, that I was thinking about with those scenes is how the his assistant
yeah,
I think if Taika Waititi's his remake like ends up happening, I think he should cast as Paul Walter Hauser as the assistant. I feel like he would be perfect for that.
no, I totally get what you mean because I'm not gonna lie, you could just remake this film, not shot for shot, but you could actually remake the bulk of it, right?
Yeah.
The first act, do some crazy stuff, because even like when I was rewatching it, and as a kid, I always kept thinking, I love how the Hawk people look, and even for the time, for the technology at the time, how they fly. Yeah, it can be kind of goofy looking because they look too stationary, but at the time it was groundbreaking, right? But even now, when we saw like how Hawk Girl flies in
Mhm.
Superman 2025, I'm like, can you imagine just a legion of
Yeah.
actors or some people
Oh yeah.
doing on the wires, doing better movements, and then you actually do a proper space battle with them now? The technology would be
Oh
wonderful,
yeah.
it'd be
That'd
amazing.
be
Yeah.
cool. With those with like the Hawk people's flying. What I found so interesting about that is like some of the scenes with them flying look really good.
Yeah.
And they like they did the green screening really well, and then some of the scenes with them flying, it looks like the green screening was done really badly. it makes me wonder, like, was like there different people like directing some scenes than others, like one of them being someone who's actually professional with green screen and the other someone who didn't understand it.
I completely get what you mean. There are times where even as a kid, because obviously when you watch the movie, you can notice when the camera changes, when the camera changes view. So there are sometimes there are moments where like Flash is on his hovercraft, and he's flying with them, and it's obvious they filmed that on like day one, or like they filmed it at one day. Then they switch over to another camera shot where Votan, he goes up to talk to him, to get closer to him, and just from the cutting, I can tell this was filmed either hours later or days later. And there are many times where I wondered, did they go back and reshoot it? Which
I
obviously
wouldn't be
at the
surprised.
time back then, like we give certain modern movies some grief for like green screen reshoots if it looks too obvious. But back then in the 70s and 80s, if you reshot green screen, it was very noticeable because the matte painting
Mm,
or the coloring just
yeah.
would not match because you can see they're going back and forth, splicing it together.
I think though that like the thing where I noticed the most of there being different, it being pretty clear that they might have filmed it at different times, is there's some scenes where Flash Gordon is in a spaceship, and like some of them look really good, and then some of them you can tell that he's just green screened into the spaceship,
Oh yeah. I noticed that too. Even as a kid, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I can kind of tell.
which is weird because like it's pretty clear they had an actual spaceship prop up that he could sit in, and because he did sit in some of the shots, but then in other shots it was like it doesn't feel like he's actually in that spaceship.
Well, I remember. I can't remember. It's the actor who plays Flashpoint, Sam Jones, something
Yeah.
like that. I remember because the De Laurentiis was kind of an asshole, and apparently Sam Jones and him did not get along. So apparently, of course, according to the course of filming, they were having some issues. So there were moments where I think to myself, okay, were these reshoots happening whenever Dino was offset to put more scenes of Sam in as Flash that they couldn't get the
Yeah.
first time? That's why I'm like, maybe because seemingly, yeah, seemingly like for the most part, everything else is consistent except for some other stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it could be a mix of maybe because Dino De Laurentiis, from what I hear about how he produced his films, even like his King Kong movie he did, he was all about like adding more stuff,
Mhm.
but he didn't tell the rest of the cast and crew what they were adding.
Yeah.
So there are many times where I'm like, it's Flash Gordon has a traditional three act story structure, you know, and I still love how like for the most part you can't really tell the cracks. I think you can't
Mhm.
really tell.
Yeah. Oh, one character that I find really curious in the film, that the that is that I feel like I feel like they didn't really explain much about which was Timothy Dalton's character,
Prince Baron,
Prince Baron. No, so he's in love with Princess
Princess Aura. Yeah,
Aura.
yeah.
Or we don't hear of any other parents in the film other than Ming. So could him and Aura be brother and sister, and he's in love with her?
I Well, I don't because the only reason why I assume not is because they really get into this whole thing about how the kings of the other regions were people that like Ming picked himself, and it keeps especially like at one point one of the other tree men they're talking to Baron and they said she is the Emperor's daughter. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. You chose to fall in love with her. This she loves
Mhm.
taking risks. She loves being dangerous. But I understand what you mean because it's obvious that Ming preferred her to marry him so he could control her. Like he didn't expect because there's a lot of like royal like this is kind of like one of the most underrated parts of Flashpoint. There's a lot of like intergalactic politics that's very like there's so many subplots happening
Yeah.
because even if Flash Gordon didn't show up and help them defeat Maine, they were already saying, "Oh no, we were planning to fight him in a year from now." We were prepping for war in a year from now. We were just trying to buy time. But Prince Baron the tree people didn't get along with the Hawk people, and then we would see Ming kill the king of one faction at the opening ceremony, and then so I think Ming was probably thinking, oh, my daughter may be a troublemaker. I'll give her to Prince Baron. She'll get his loyalty to me, and then I'll just have to make sure he helps kill the Hawk people because I know they hate each other. But she is herself. Like Princess Aura is herself. Like it's kind of funny. Like one of her like it's kind of funny because I do think she does love Prince Baron and he does love her. And she clearly wants an open relationship with all the men.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so hilarious to me the scene where she is trying to get on with Flash while he's talking to Dale over the telepathy. Like that is so crazy. Oh man. Oh,
and also there's one line that Timothy Dalton says that constantly kills me. It's when you know he's like, oh, is he kept your promise? You came. It's like, yeah, I have a gift for you. And then he turns and he sees Flash Gordon, and this is after Flash Gordon had his fake death at the start of the film. And then one of the things he says to her is like, I knew you were many things, or I didn't know you were into necrophilia. He just walks away. It's just the way he says, like, oh, you resurrected this fucker. And you brought him here.
Oh, one thing, yeah, I was mentioning, Andrew, when we were watching it, how this feels like if the people behind Rocky Horror Picture Show made a superhero film.
Yeah.
Which like I really feel that after like watching this twice, and something I find interesting about that is how you were talking about this forest person who was talking with Prince Baron, and I'm pretty sure he's played by the same actor who played Riff Raff in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I know it's funny. I'm not gonna lie. I do think that is him, but let me double check because I'm like, wait a minute, that looks because he was a very like he was it not Richard? Is it Richard O'Brien? I think the guy who played Riff Raff.
Richard O'Brien, I'm pretty sure is the actor.
Because let me double check. Yeah, because I remember he constantly kept showing up being bald in every non-Riff Raff movie he did. So let me double check because I think that is him.
Which for
Yep,
anyone who doesn't know, another cool little thing, fun fact with that actor is he's also the voice actor who played Phineas's dad in Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah. And then but that is Richard O'Brien. He played FICO, and that green guy's name. And I remember when a friend of mine who didn't really know much about Flash Gordon, I asked him, what do you know? And it's like, well, I know Flash Gordon is a lyric in Rocky Horror in the opening song. I'm like, yeah, it's like it's because of Flash Gordon's legacy from the 1930s black and white science fiction. But like, I am glad they got him because Richard Bryan was one of those like cult actors where he did so many like different things. So like, it is cool that he was in this.
Yeah. Even though I am absolutely like excited for or Taika Waititi's his remake of this, is something else that I kind of would like to see is a sort of or legacy sequel thing to this, as bringing back a bunch of the actors in the same way that that Death Race 2050 really feels like it was like that retro feel, and I don't think that there'll be that Taika Waititi's version will feel like that.
You know what's funny? I remember when what was it? It was obviously Sam. Sam, he reprised his role for the Ted movie. So he just as himself, obviously. But they did a bunch of Flash Gordon references. I remember there was this huge rumor. I wouldn't be surprised if it was considered that somebody wanted Seth MacFarlane and him to do a like sequel of some kind, or like some type of thing where like they go back because remember one of the best moments in Ted One is that scene where they
Yep.
replicate. It's just funny. It's because you just see
Oh yeah.
you see Matt Bennett hugging Flash Gordon when they're on the hovercraft together, and I'm like, you as a kid, I was kind of like, oh man, that's such a cool reference, right?
Oh yeah. I
Um,
love how in the sequel they try to get his sperm,
yeah,
and then he just chases them out of his house, forever deciding that they're his enemy,
yeah,
even though
no,
they previously were friends.
yeah, and then you know, I do hope that the next Flash Gordon, any project, film, show, anything, any adaptation, takes inspiration or at least reference this movie some ways. Because there's
Yeah.
one thing I don't think that will be easily topped, which is the costumes. The costumes are so colorful and so iconic that like now I wouldn't mind a modern redesign.
Yeah.
Like okay, Ming's costume, worn by Max Found, Sadao. It's incredibly beautiful, it's glorious, it's whatever. That's his look. That's his look as Ming. If a new Ming played by another actor wanted to dial it back a bit or try a different color, I can let it go. I can see why. Like, because
Yeah.
it's such a cool classic over the top costume with a high collar and the cape. So I do think any reboot you gotta try something different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I do I do hope that like they keep some because a lot of the jokes in this movie, whether it be like some of the sex jokes, some of the awkward jokes, or even some of the like so the genuine moments where Flash is done. That's why I love the most like the moments where he's kind of like I can't catch a
Mm.
fucking break. He's like this is fuck I've been stuck here for like hours on end. And also one thing that I think is very underrated is the fact that Ming's plan was just to, oh yeah, I'm gonna attack the moon, throw it off its orbit, and that will affect Earth. And in the instant, it will be instant tidal waves and earthquakes. And then once I put the moon back, well, after we terraform Earth, I'll just take it over. And I'm like, that's actually one of the smartest ways to take over a planet.
Oh yeah.
Where you destroy it, you destroy the atmosphere, the environment for a moment, then you put it back, and then you rule over what's left. And one thing I love that, in my opinion, kind of inspired the classic the Green Goblin offer in Spider-Man 2002 is when Ming goes to Flash and is genuinely like, I like you, I respect you, I want you to work for me. And he tries to bribe him, but the problem is, you know what's funny? I think Flash almost considered it up until he said, "But what about Earth?" And he's like, "No, no, I have to destroy it. But don't worry, after we destroy it, I'll fix it for you to rule as your kingdom under me." And Flash is like, "You fucking idiot!" If I, because Flash is even thinking, I would have joined you maybe if you just promised to not hurt Earth at all and kept
Yeah.
everyone else alive. But no, you just had to do that.
Yeah. And he had to have his little evil twist to it.
Yeah, because
Uh,
it's such a great moment because you do believe it, and also one thing I do like, in a lot of like science fiction stories, whenever someone from Earth or like a chosen one, whenever they're doing their thing, they really have to sell that they're special. That they really have to sell that they're doing something groundbreaking.
mhm.
And the thing that he inspires in all of them, other than the idea of teaming up, is also hope. Because even Voltan, he was like, oh no, we're planning to attack me in 1 year. I need to prepare my weapons and our machines. But like, I ain't team up with them. I ain't team up with the tree people. I ain't team up with all these people. Wanna why? Because fuck them. I don't trust them. And
Mhm.
it's like no, no. And so like it wasn't. Flash taught them that teamwork is the best way to win. And his bravery, like his genuine like not giving a fuck, is is shown to be inspirational and kind of funny. Like when he plays football with the guards.
Yeah. I love that scene, and I love how Bolton and they're the Hawk people. He just like does little things, taking one or two people out through that is just like oopsie doopsie. I didn't do that. Like that character of Fulton, the kid, the Hawk people, is probably my favorite character in this, and it very much feels like he kind of was the inspiration with and with M'Baku
Yeah,
in the Black Panther films, which also M'Baku is my favorite character in the Black Panther films. So it makes sense. Yeah. One thing I was surprised with watching this is that Flash doesn't have any superpowers. I expected that at some point during the film they would give him superpowers, but no, he literally is just this footballer from Earth. From Earth.
yeah, that's the thing. Because with Flash Gordon, he is again similar to Han Solo. He's just a guy with a gun. He takes alien tech and makes it own, or even similar. Again, he inspired Star Lord in Marvel. Again, it was the idea of someone with no powers, like someone
Yeah.
like legitimately with no powers. Now, in theory, they could have like this was only 2 years after Superman the movie. You could have done a thing where like all of a sudden he takes like some type of potion and he can fly if you wanted
Yeah.
to rip off Superman. But um, they were like kind of like no. The whole point, and also like there's a lot of stakes too. Because one thing I love about this film, and I love a very underrated trope in science fiction, is that like oh no, lasers and spaceships, yeah, they have cannons and stuff, but for the most part, the warriors on planet love using swords. They love using whips. They love using knives. So whenever he's fighting, like, because even like Baron's a swordsman on his planet.
Yeah.
That's a fun moment where like he has to take his sword, and then they have that trial by combat on the Hawk People's planet. So like, there's a lot of, I mean, I guess fair play because obviously, if one of them had powers, it would be completely different, a completely different fight visually and
Oh
actually in
yeah.
reality. But because it's just a desperate Flash who's like a big guy, but keep in mind, a lot of them are also skilled fighters. So the only advantage Flash has is to surprise people, which I love that they keep doing. Is that like because he's a man from Earth and they never really met humans until then,
Mhm.
they don't understand the logic of improvising, which is actually kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that I noticed with I noticed is as kind of a trend within in like superhero stuff from the 80s is that kind of saddens me is how a lot of these more goofy things end up being things that Ains said if it was liked as a cult classic. It wasn't signed that could have gotten a sequel. Like we have this is we have Masters of the Universe and we have Howard the Duck, and it's like like I really like all three of these films, and it really saddens me that they couldn't have gotten sequels.
Well, this is the thing, because Masters of the Universe, it almost got a sequel, almost, but then obviously Canon fell apart because of bankruptcy, which is the sad part. Because the tragedy of Canon was they were doing well with all these low budget films. They were making like a fuck ton of money. Then there was like let's do bigger swings, bigger budget films, but they weren't making that big of a profit. And then they had this bold plan of like, okay, we're in debt. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, Masters of the Universe, and that Spider-Man movie we're going to make, they're going to get us out of bankruptcy. We got to make sure these films hit consecutively in a row. But the Superman movie didn't do well. Masters of the Universe did kind of okay. And what's funny is they almost got the green light for a two, but there was like, okay, if we do a second movie, we gotta make it a bit cheaper, like 20, like $10 million less than the first movie. But then by the time that was about to go into anything, fell apart, got destroyed. And then with with Howard the Duck, I think it was also a thing where like there was a lot of weird marketing at the time, and I think a lot of people didn't know what type of film it was, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
and then so that probably didn't help. But obviously that got cold following later. With Flash Gordon, it was one of those things where it it kind of I think they overspent on the budget because it was supposed to be a cheaper film. I think they overspent because the logic was look at Star Wars. Star Wars is making
Mhm.
like $300 million on a budget of
Yeah.
10. We could spend 30 million on this Flash Gordon movie and try pulling more. It didn't do that well in the box at the time, right?
Mhm.
But they got more money later. Now I remember even with the end scene of the end question mark, and he picks up when someone
Yeah.
picks up Ming's ring. Now in the comics, Ming is a villain that dies and comes back all the time. So in my head, I'm like, and even if there was, because even like I know there's not a sequel, but in my head I'm like, no. Flash united the Tree People, the Hawk People, and anyone who hated Ming. Whenever Ming, if Ming was to come back in a sequel, I think they would have had a great time fighting him again. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? Or whatever it was going to be. I do wish there was a sequel, and obviously we got a lot of great comics, so it's easy to
Yeah.
fill in the blanks of
Which
what could
also,
have happened. But
there was an animated show that came out, I think, like a year later
yeah,
that I'm pretty sure is supposed to be also be based on this particular film. Because like I've seen some pictures of the different character designs, and they look a lot like the designs in this film.
yeah, you know what's funny? An underrated trend from the 80s and 90s that I do wish came back was is the whole like we put out a movie and then we put out a cartoon a year after that's
Yeah.
clearly connected. It's like that's something that people
Oh yeah.
should do more often.
Oh yeah.
And
I've literally been like recently watching for the first time the Mask animated series.
oh yeah, yeah.
I really like that a lot. I you know it really saddens me again that the Mask didn't and get a proper sequel. Like it got that Son of the Mask thing, but like not a sequel with Jim Carrey. But also like I personally I wouldn't mind like a animated Mask movie that was connected to the cartoon. And
Mhm.
something I think would work really well. Since both I'm pretty sure are owned by Warner Brothers, and Rob Paulson, I think is the name, the voice actor who played the Mask in the cartoon.
Mhm.
And he's still alive, and he still works as a voice actor. I think what would be really fun would be a Scooby Doo meets the Mask anime movie.
You know what's funny? Because like the Mask is a Dark Horse Comics character, but to my knowledge, Warner Bros. Still owns him. There were moments where like I know like people hated the Son of the Mask with Jamie Kennedy because it was just not even really a sequel and it wasn't that funny or whatever. But there were times where I'm like, if they wanted to reboot the Mask again in anything, whether it be a movie, show, or live action or animated.
Hmm.
I'm surprised they didn't just make the Mask like a crossover character with DC stuff, right? And with some of the like the Mask versus Freakazoid could actually be a fun animated
Oh yeah.
thing. Like so like I wouldn't mind a Mask Scooby Doo story because
The
it would actually be
Mask,
funny.
or like the Mask and Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Like because that first movie still has a great legacy. That cartoon still has a big legacy. The comics is kind of interesting because The Mask began as a horror comic, and then
Yeah.
because that film was so successful, they were like, let's lighten it up. So they actually made it more
Yeah,
comedic.
it's really interesting. Like I the comics are super mature, or
Yeah.
apparently, versus this is like very kid friendly, and the stuff for the movies and it's in the TV show. Oh, I also would not mind if we were to ever get like a proper adaptation of the comics where it is like an R-rated thing. I think that could be really fun.
Oh no, 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 I agree. I do think they could do that one day, or like even like you can do a horror comedy series. Because a lot of people love horror comedies, or even like horror
Mhm.
with good jokes. Like you could actually do like a serious adaptation of the early comics where Stanley Ipkiss is not a good person, he's killing people, and then you transition into like a more funnier tone. Because what's funny? Because the Mask movie is directed by Russell McKay, and he did horror movies. He did like one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, I think. And then they asked him to do the Mask, and he was like, "No, I want to take a break from horror. I want to do something lighter because like in my mind it's a superhero movie, so yeah, just something lighter." And then he and Jim Carrey redefined that. So I could definitely see someone do the opposite. Just in
Yeah.
terms of like, okay, let's do a scary Mask movie this time to see how it works, and then if it
Well,
wherever it goes, we go. You know. Uh,
something that I find I'm so interesting with like the mask is how how in the past like 10, 12 years, something like that, we've had so many times of people complaining that female characters are too perfect and too overpowered. like it makes me wonder, had the mask come out out these days, and they and like, even if it was just for one scene, had a woman wear the mask, I feel like they would just go absolutely crazy, be like how dare you let this woman be this all powerful character.
You know what's funny? I get what you mean, and I hate those fucking idiots, especially when like they don't read these fucking. They don't actually know the source material. They don't read books. They don't
Yeah.
fucking like do this or whatever. There was a moment where in my head, if I was making a comic book movie where I give a girl power moment, there was a moment where I'm like, fuck, I'll just show a panel from the book before I show the scene in the movie because these fuckers keep claiming because it's something that drives me insane. Whenever someone be like, that wasn't in the comics, I was like, yeah, it was. It's like it's in this issue over here that you didn't read. I'm like, no, fuck, I'll just put in the scene. Like, more people should do that. Just put panels in the scenes to justify whatever thing will piss off an incel or a bigot. Just do it.
I'm pretty sure the Tank Girl movie had a few moments where they flashed over to actual panels from the comic.
Yeah, no, because it's legitimately one of those things where like I get irritated whenever someone's like, I don't get why they did this. I don't get why they did this. And I'm like, okay, it's a reference to a thing you didn't read. Okay, you didn't read it. Cool. Stop acting like it destroyed the entire fucking story for
Yeah.
13 seconds of a cool moment. Shut up. Like that's the most annoying part. And what's funny? Speaking of like girl power moments, one thing I like about Flash Gordon in this movie that I always kind of like is um that Dale gets herself out first. Like she actually does
Yeah.
get herself out for the plot to move on, which is kind of underrated because like
Mhm.
with the serials and even a lot of the Flash Gordon comics, there are many times, like 99%, he has to save her, which we
Yeah.
do get later in the third act for the climax from the wedding, which is such a classic old science fiction thing of saving the downs and distress from a wedding. That's
Yeah.
such an old school trope, which I love.
Yeah. Speaking of that wedding scene, I love Ming's death scene. That and how he just gets stabbed by the ship, and we were talking again just the other day about characters having green blood. He has green blood. I
Yeah,
noticed,
yeah, yeah.
which was interesting. And then like I love this moment afterwards. It's like he thinks he's still threatening to Flash Ash as Flash holds up a sword towards him. It was like no, you're not. You're not threatening at all. You're pretty clearly very weak.
You know what's funny? There's such a great misdirect in that scene because the poster of Flash Gordon, like one of the most iconic posters, is him holding that gold sword. He only holds it once in that movie at that exact moment as Ming's already dying. There is no sword fight. There's because Ming's already like shit. It's like, no, it's like he's already on his way out. It's like, so like it's such a great like misdirect. We're like no, they didn't lie to you. He does hold up a sword.
Which I I don't know when um the cartoons of Masters of the Universe started, but I kind of wonder if them like making that be the poster could have been a reference to how Flash Ash looks very similar to He-Man.
No, I get you saying. I mean, there's a lot of overlap because, like, with Master Universe, he's kind of inspired by, Thor, but there's also the Shazam aspect of like it's because in the cartoon and in most stuff, Prince Adam is a teenage boy who looks like a small, skinny kid, and then he becomes a grown ass man as He Man. So there are many times where like I wouldn't be surprised with how influential Flash Gordon used to be. I wouldn't be surprised if they saw that look, that blonde hair with a sword thing. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
there's a lot of like direct impact and influence, and I argue it was easier to track back then. Back just in the science fiction sword and sorcery genre, the amount of times to be like, okay, this is a cool thing over here. This is my version.
Mhm. Oh, yep. We've talked a bit about Tech Bati's his upcoming reboot. If for some reason and Chris Hemsworth doesn't decide to appear in it with him, who would you cast as a modern day a Flash Gordon?
Oh, that's a good question. Because there are some actors that I think will be too old and slash too obvious.
Mm,
Because Flash Gordon, no matter what, he's an athlete. Sometimes I think
yeah,
sometimes it's baseball, sometimes it's football, and they always imply like, okay, he's famous, but he's not too old. So at best, he's probably late 20s, early 30s, right? So you can't get Chris Pine. I think he'd be obviously he wouldn't really fit.
you know,
Yeah,
it is definitely a bit older than like what you were saying, but I think either or Kamal Nanjiani or Jason Momoa could work well.
I know exactly what you mean because the thing with Flash, he has to be. I get why like they really specified he was a football player because there was like he has to be. He's kind of a big guy. Like the only person bigger than him is probably Voltan, just in terms of width. So yeah, I can see them doing that, or even like trying to go like, oh, maybe he's a retired athlete, which is possible. I mean, look at even in Mortal Kombat, the new Mortal Kombat's coming out with Carl Urban, they made him like a very older action hero actor because usually Johnny Cage in his 20s when he joins the tournament. So I can see them doing that, or they get someone
Mm,
older, or how even like he's fucking huge now, like literally Alan Richardson. If they made him Flash Gordon, just how
yeah.
big he is, I'm that would have been
Yeah.
kind of funny.
And
But
I feel like Taika Waititi would be the kind of person who would be like,
you know,
I'm gonna do this as like Flashborn has had a career for a long time, or he is retired at this point. Like, and bringing him out of retirement, that feels like something Taika Waititi would do.
oh no, I could definitely see that being a thing. I think the only well, actually two. Well, no, probably only one. I think the only blonde actor I can think of that can probably do a late 20s Johnny, but he has to put on some more muscle. But I think you and I loved him in as Jason in the 2017 Power Rangers, Dacre Montgomery. Just in
Uh-huh.
terms of like if, but another thing is I wouldn't mind if they did make Flash Gordon mix, like at least
Yeah.
you get an actor of color like Kumail or Jason or someone else, like just someone because like
Mm.
to represent how sports is now. Like we
Yeah.
have so many
Oh
different
yeah.
mixed athletes
Absolutely. And
for decades. Yeah,
and like I think it would be cool having like a mix or just someone who's not white.
yeah.
I play the role. Well, but also I would I particularly with like Jason Momoa and Kamal Nanjiani, I feel like they fit the personality well.
Yeah, because the whole thing with Flash Gordon is that he is someone who lucked into this. He lucked into being an adventure hero. He has to be funny. He has to be kind of normal. Like his reactions to everything is so natural.
Mm.
Like I remember like a line in the film that still works a lot is when Baron is like, "Oh, I challenge him for trial by combat," and Flash like, "This place is a lunatic asylum."
Yeah.
It's like really?
I think particularly with Kumail Nanjiani, it would be cool. Well, because like he's kind of been neglected by Marvel, so getting another superhero role, that really has an emphasis on how on his muscle would be something I think he would really appreciate.
And also, Kamau knows how to, because Kamau is a nerd at heart. He does have
Oh
that
yeah,
lovable, casual guy energy. He's still, like, even without him being jacked, he's still jacked, which is why, I'm not gonna lie, I still believe. Because there are some rumors that, like, okay, someone from the Eternals movie, at least one or two people from that movie, will be in Secret Wars. There are many times where I keep thinking to myself, huh, you still in shape, Kamau? Are you in Are you in Secret Wars? I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up, but I get what you mean. He has been like, like for Marvel, he's been hungry for a franchise role. And even like when he talks about what happened with people neglecting Eternals, he still talks about how much he loved Marvel. And he even gets mad at some people when they're like, but then you dodged a bullet. Like, there's a lot of pressures with being that famous. And they come out like, without that money though. Do you know how much money I could have gotten to relax? Fuck you. Don't tell me I should be
really.
happy.
Like, it's so annoying for people to say that. Be like, no, he's valid in how he feels. Feels. and how he's had so much
Yeah.
harassment and so many assholes shitting on him and shitting on this work that he made as he was trying to go around the world promoting it. That like that has to really weigh on someone mentally.
No, that's the thing. Cause like I remember when like even Brandon Rouse, who I argue is doing better now than ever. People love Brandon Rouse, people, but even he talked about. He says, with Superman Returns, yeah, it's fuck Bryan Singer, but like just for that movie, and also fuck Kevin Spacey. That movie is kind of a mixed bag and kind of boring. There's a lot of like love in it to the other Richard Donner Superman movies, but for the most part, it's not an easy watch. It can be kind of long. It's a long watch. But Brian Ross says, "Oh yeah, they made me out to be this big thing. I got Superman. The movie did okay. It wasn't amazing. I was in talks to do another Superman movie. I was even in talks to be in that Just League movie that I didn't get, Just League Mortal film with George Miller. And then after a couple of years, I was just gone. And then if it wasn't for stuff like Scott Pilgrim playing the Atom, doing these fan roles that made people like me, so many people were just kind of like, "Oh, you're the guy for that Superman movie that no one liked." You know, so like even he said that kind of fucked with me because I legitimately was worried that my career would be over because like when if you're because from the from like say the 70s to I say the early 2010s, if you were in too many films that didn't make money, they would blame you.
Yeah.
But recently, all kind of changed there are some actors that people love that get paid up to $20 million, $40 million. Some of the last few films didn't do that well because of COVID or even other circumstances.
Yeah. It really sucks. Like he had such a hard career after our Superman Returns because I genuinely think he was a great Superman.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think he did a really good job. And like I don't think I've seen anything with him in it. And that I disliked his performance.
Oh no, no, people. No, that's the thing. There are so many people who are like, no, this guy is a good Superman. He's a good Clark. It's just the story around him in this movie isn't enough. Because like, but like that has happened more than once. Or even like sometimes,
Mhm.
like Andrew Garfield, he's an incredible actor. People love him. People realize he's a great actor. When those Spider-Man movies came out, even though they got like mixed to positive reviews and they did well at the box office, the amount of people bitching that he wasn't Toby and bitching that his film sucked and like whatever, like that hanged over him for a while. And then of course, and then like this happens so many times where like you know so many people they're like, hey, my first impression of you, my bad whatever bad impression, I'm gonna keep that with me for a while. You know, I'll even look at Robert Pattinson. It took him years because he enjoyed working on Twilight because with the friends he met, but he did hate how popular he became. He hated the harassment and he hated people saying he was a terrible actor because I'm like, look, I'm saying to the writing, this writing is telling me to do this. It's not easy to act my way out of some stuff.
Yeah.
But then people were like, they realized, oh, Robert is a good actor in these other things. Same with Kristen Stewart, same with some other people. So like, it's there's always a I think like an expiration date for how long something stays with someone, you know, depending on what it is. But like, it's funny because I even argued that we hear so many things about Hollywood being terrible for years, and even now we keep hearing all these constant updates. Now, I argue now there's more optimistic forgiveness for some
Yeah.
actors now because there are many times where someone goes, look, the COVID, studio executives being stupid during the fucking strike, all these issues. I'm like, I get why some actors are saying yes to certain things. I get why actors are admitting I'm not happy, but I gotta do this to get money. I was like,
Yeah.
and then there are many times someone watches a movie and they go, it's
Well,
not their fault. It's something else.
a lot of people have cannot for the life of them understand that most actors are not millionaires. They
Yeah,
are working actors for the majority of them.
yeah, yeah,
And
and
like I for most of the actors who are in like the Harry Potter reboot, I don't blame
yeah.
them. because I don't know what their financial situation is.
I don't blame the
Like,
kids. I don't
like
blame the kids at all in that film.
the one actor who I'm like, yeah, no, fuck you, is
John
uh,
Lithgow.
uh yeah, who playing Dumbledore, or like he, like, and I'm most annoyed at him
Because he acknowledged,
because he's acknowledged it, but he
yeah,
refuses to who be like, no, I hate this. I hate that this is part of it. He refuses to say it's wrong that she has these views.
yeah, and also like there's a lot of like okay, like the kids playing the new Harry Potter, whatever. They're innocent. I don't even blame their parents. They're just helping their kids have fun, have fun, and whatever. And then
I to be
even
honest, I
and
do kind of blame their parents because I'm like
well,
that,
it's
because like I would hate I would hate to make my child
yeah,
have to be a part of something where, one, I know they're going to experience harassment,
yeah,
and two, I like, once these kids get older and they start more understanding the ending J.K. Rowling's views,
yeah.
they're gonna regret being a part of this.
No, that's the thing. 'Cause I understand me because like okay, there are sometimes parents they want their children, and especially if they're a good parent, not a terrible parent, not a show business parent. If they're good, if they're a parent that's like okay, my kid wants to act, I want them to be safe, I want them to have fun, I want them to make sure they have their schoolwork, I want to make sure whatever thing they do isn't taxing on them. I'm not gonna lie, I won't be surprised if some of the kids drop out, or at least the parents
Oh,
of those
I
kids
wouldn't be
drop
surprised.
out in a couple of years. Because like with how terrible Harry Potter fans can be, even if they're not transphobic, with how racist they can be, with how other stuff, and also like I'm like, okay, I'm doing the math in my head. This is gonna take 7 years, so it's like 7 seasons.
Well,
I'm like,
they've already said that they're not gonna be able to get them all out in out each year,
yeah, yeah,
which
and
is
then
but like, it's still gonna be so much time for these kids to be on set, and so much more time than it was for the movies, because they're as instead of having to film for a 2 hour long thing, they have to film for 8 hour long thing.
yeah, yeah, and then and it's like it's one of those things where like um like there are some actors like okay I feel the guy playing Snape, the new Snape, he's a
Mm-hmm.
black guy and he's pro trans and he supported the trans things and someone asked the transphobic J.K. Rowling how she felt about it and she kind of smiled through her teeth and basically like well I can't fire him, he just got hired, I'm not going to fire him for liking trans people,
There also
but
though.
he's being harassed for being black by Harry Potter fans
Mhm.
and he's playing the role of Snape. And there are many times where, like, look, man, I'm not gonna lie, you might have to leave because, like, you're
I
gonna get fucked
To be
with for
honest,
years.
like, I don't blame him from taking the job because, again, as I said, I don't know his financial situation,
Mhm.
but also at the same time, this could end up being horrible for him. And
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
and I really would not be surprised if there was something someone mentioned on Twitter or today that I thought was really interesting that I hadn't thought about before.
Mhm.
Or so they have not announced that any of the other teachers are going to be played by black actors, which means that that possibly the only black act teacher in the school is going to be the one that Harry always finds suspicious,
Yeah.
which
No,
is
that's
going to be a really bad look.
no. There's a lot of like even before J.K. Rowling became a massive transphobe, there was a lot of like racially questionable things that she wrote in her books. So a lot of people kind of like, okay, I don't know if you are anti-Semitic, and she is,
Oh,
but
yeah.
at the time when some of the books came out, there was like this feels very stereotypical. I'm not sure if you're thinking about it. I mean, hell, there's a black character, a black wizard in the book named Shacklebolt, and some people were like, "Oh wait, what's the name again?"
Yeah.
It's like I need you to think about what these names are, and like, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like it's one it's
there's obviously been a lot of racism and anti-Semitism as part of it, but I think that those things weren't noticed by a lot of people,
at the time.
mainly because they were smaller parts of the arts of it, versus Harry constantly being suspicious of Snape is a main part of the story that would be like in every episode. And like if he is the only black teacher, people are going to very much notice it and
Yeah,
be like,
there's
this
no, no, that
really feels weird.
no. That's saying even if okay, there are some Harry Potter fans putting their head in the sand about JK's issues, right? And they want to enjoy this look, and they're trying to separate the art from the artist. Now, in some situations, you can separate it. Some situations, some. If like you don't have to worry about like, oh, this is funding a terrible person's motives or a terrible like thing. So I can understand wanting to separate. Okay,
Mhm.
but racist Harry Potter fans and even Harry Potter fans who like black people are gonna see this and be like, this is off. This is very off. And even
Yeah.
now, even you know what kills me? A lot of the racist grifters were mad that he got the job in the first place because he's black.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? He plays a character that fucking abuses the white boy Harry and dies later on. And then we find out later he's a good person. Kind of, but he still did some terrible things later,
Yeah.
early on in life. I'm surprised you weren't fucking cheering for this, given how much you guys hate fucking, black characters being too
Mhm.
happy and heroic. I'm like, J.K. knows. Like some of these people know what they're doing with some of the choices. Like there's a difference between getting complicated character, getting great casting color for complicated characters. We should see that, but like, come on, we know we know what they're gonna do. We know what they're gonna do, and that's again that's the thing where I'm like,
Yeah. I
we'll
just
see.
really feel bad for this actor.
No. Yeah, I feel bad
He's got to experience a lot of shit.
from so many sides, and it's funny when it comes to like a Flash Gordon reboot. Um, you know, I'm not gonna. It's fine. I just want a new thing to happen. And I hope it's fun. And I hope it's cool.
Yeah.
And I already know for a fact, whatever grifter is gonna pretend that they love this film, that they love the 1980 film. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
fuck you. This movie is very gay. It's very very homoerotic, very horny. There's a lot
Oh,
of pro women stuff in this. Kind of even like this. It's not. Also, hell, even like one of the main characters is like like he's a German Jewish survivor
mhm.
scientist, and he helps the main guy win. I'm like, yeah, because Flash Gordon's a white guy with blonde hair, you think he's like you, and I'm like, come on, he don't even look like him.
They always think though that oh it's because it's a white guy they must be like me.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me of a few months ago when the Stephen Knight, I think is the name of the showrunner of the original old Daredevil show.
Daredevil, yeah,
How he was arguing with a bunch of uh right wing bigots. It's who all thought the original Daredevil show was made for them. And it's like, no, no, I was not making that for you at all. Oh,
yeah.
you clearly were not paying attention to what you were watching.
Mm. It's one of those things, but with Flash Gordon, it's a fun movie, and I argue
Mm,
like it's a great because it's almost a 2 hour. It's like without the crest, I think it's an hour and 50 something minutes or something like that,
yeah.
roughly. Um, there's not a lot of action, but it's not boring. Something is
Yeah.
constantly happening. It's very entertaining. And I argue if you're someone who loves science fiction and you've been meaning to watch older stuff, like older media, Flash
Mhm.
Gordon is something I would recommend along with Battle Beyond the
Oh yeah,
Stars. Like
absolutely.
something for you to like if you want to watch practical models, old costumes, old like
Yeah.
projections and
I,
stuff.
which I'm someone who I want to watch more of these retro sci-fi things just because like I love the aesthetic of them. Like there's such a
Same.
cool aesthetic. And I wish like there were more movies made today
Hmm.
that were particularly trying to replicate that aesthetic because I think that there could be a lot of cool things you could do with it.
Oh no, I completely agree. Especially like, I think like, in terms of like, we've seen so many different beautiful costumes in film that win Oscars and stuff like that. But in terms of like bright coloring, bright lighting that I would love to see again, bright colorful sets. Because I think
Mhm.
something that we all really need right now. We need beautiful sets
Oh
in
yeah,
science fiction and fantasy. And I hope the new Flash Gordon movie, again, don't
I
you can't
think
really remake, you can't really replicate this feeling
I
per
think
se,
you
but you can
can't
try.
replicate the feeling, but I think that I think there's a good chance that that the colorful nature of it
Yeah.
is replicated. It because remember how colorful Thor Ragnarok was.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. And then even
It was like very Jack Kirby levels of colorful, and because that was literally what he based it on. But and I think that that is actually probably the main thing that is what got him the job of Flash Gordon.
yeah, yeah, I saw what you mean. And some stuff like Wicked Part One, Barbie, uh, or even like some of the intricate costumes in Black Panther. Like to me, convinced me. I'm like, okay, you can try do a modern version of these outfits, of these sets,
Oh yeah.
of this feeling. Um,
Mm,
I just hope I just hope it gets its due, whether TV or film, because
yeah.
I think we all love science fiction. I think it's one of those genres that I think bleeds over into some other things. Um, I just hope it can manage to like avoid the wrong comparisons. Like, I love the
Yeah.
recent Dune films. I don't want a Flash Gordon movie to look like Dune.
Oh,
Like, it shouldn't look like
absolutely
Dune.
not. Like
Yeah,
that's I we that is devoid of color. We don't need that. That would be
yeah. I mean, or like even with
painful to watch.
no, 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 or even like Star Wars. Star Wars is a product of
Oh yeah.
Flash Gordon. It was inspired by Flash Gordon. None
I
of the
think
recent Star Wars movies and shows really can do retro science fiction anymore. They're just Star Wars now with CGI and
like
modern day stuff.
and the reason why I said that I something in the realm of that Death Race 2050 is I wanted to still feel like a B movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, because with the Flash Gordon 1980, the beautiful thing about it is that like um there's a lot of jokes and self awareness, and there's a lot of them playing it straight. Like Max von Sydow is me. He's playing like he's treating it like a Shakespeare, which is amazing because he's awesome. He's playing the villain. Uh, the actor who plays Zankoff, he's over the top, incredibly over the top, and he's funny. Timothy Dalton, again, James Bond, he's a great actor. He's playing it. He's playing it like he's Robin Hood in
Yeah,
in that outfit. Like Brian Blessed who played Voltan, the Hawkman. He knows it's a comedy, so he's over the top. So there's a lot of these different tones being anchored by the actors themselves. So like, I think any Flash Gordon revisiting would have to require an incredible
absolutely,
cast that could deliver each individual tone.
definitely, definitely. I think there are a lot of really cool things you could do with that, and I think so. And I think that Taika Waititi is definitely the right guy for the job. Like the only person that I think also would have been able to do it is someone who sadly has passed away a couple of years ago, which is Roger Corman. I think
Mm.
Roger Corman doing it would have been great. Yeah. Um, Trying to think. Is there anything else I wanted to bring up for this film? One thing I think is a really cool shot is how the rocket at the start of the film comes out of the roof of breaking the roof of this greenhouse like area. And I thought that was a really cool looking shot.
Oh, I love that shot too. I'm trying to remember. Did Willy Wonka come out before this? Because it reminds me of
Um,
the.
I think the original Willy Wonka movie came out before this because this was in 1980. I
Because
think
Willy
that
Wonka
came
was
out in the
70s.
70s.
Yeah, because it reminded me of when I remember at the end where
Yeah.
Wonka, Charlie Bucket, and the grandpa on the ship, they go out the glass window.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that came out in 1971. So 9 years before this.
Yeah, yeah. So it reminded me of that. Like the idea of like going through like like there are a lot of moments where Flash Gordon feels like kind of a throwback to many other things. I mean, there's even like kind of like a Wizard of Oz type feel with some of like that ceremony they're in at the start. There's a lot of like moments where I'm like, okay, we can the coloring and the presentation feels so uh, classic. Even I think yeah, by
Oh yeah.
1987, it was very like we're trying to go older, like way
No.
back.
One thing, we talk about like the like this retro sci-fi feel to this is that reminds me of how they replicated that feel for the fake original Wonder Man and in the Wonder Man show.
Yeah.
I really wish Marvel would just would like release a real version of that fake original Wonder Man movie and like keep it low budget and just like make it be like an hour and 15-minute long special that you put on Disney Plus.
No,
I think that could be really cool.
no, I completely agree. I would because I wouldn't mind a fictional movie and the movie actually getting made, and so then we can actually
Yeah.
watch. Hell, I'm not gonna lie. If it doesn't cost too much, and if they can afford to do it, put it up on YouTube for fun. Just put it up on YouTube,
Huh?
upload the full like thing, and make it a
Like
thing that because it's great marketing for the actual.
you know, and it's it's so weird. These fake things within like actual movies or shows. It seems like always they end up being something that people are really like and would want to see more of, and then they never make it. I'm like, I feel like it
I
would be really popular. Like another thing with Marvel is I think people would love if we got an actual full length version, particularly that we can watch online and not in person, of Rogers the Musical.
oh yeah, I'm not gonna. No, even some friends of mine who aren't even like super musical lovers, they said that should be a show on ice for Disney. That should be a thing on Disney
Yeah,
Plus. Like you could
yeah,
like if you have enough of the songs, you know what? It's kind of like how there are some people who are like, look, Spider-Man: Turn Out the Dark killed people, literally. However, the idea of doing a superhero musical that's fun with these characters would actually make money, like serious
oh
money. Like
yeah.
if you did it right.
And I say like for like a Rogers musical thing, just like record or one full cast session and of them
And
doing it, just like they did it for Hamilton and put that on Disney Plus.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And yeah,
like that could be I think people would flock to watching that.
mhm. Oh yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, I think that more people like if a fun idea doesn't cost too much and it's not a
Yeah.
risk, because like that's really what it's all about. Especially now since so many bad things have happened, in the industry in the world. They're all about like low risk, big money. And
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't cost much, especially the fact
Yeah,
that most of these singers won't be famous A-list actors. You don't have to pay them that much,
exactly.
and then you could just do this and get out there and then be fine. Like, and yeah,
And
I do think they should
especially
do this.
like when there are long lulls of content where we aren't getting any content for months from Marvel. Releasing sign like this would be a great way to cheaply like, hold people over until the next thing you want to have them have come out.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, I because like it's funny because like I know they said they're gonna start pulling back on stuff. I more so believe in a few years rather than now because we still have Vision Quest, we still have X-Men 97, we got Doomsday in December, we got Spider-Man in July, and then we got Daredevil Born Again starting out right now in March. So there are many times where I'm like, look, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to put more breaks in between, more windows. But I'm like, you could. I mean, like, yeah, you're gonna pull some stuff back, but I'm like, yeah, but like you could actually do stuff by holiday, like or do
Yeah.
stuff by
Oh yeah, like what
yeah, yeah.
they were going to do that with with the special presentations, and then randomly they just stopped. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's so weird because like
because the only
everybody
special
loved Werewolf by Night and
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy a holiday special. Everybody loved them. Why didn't you make more?
Well, I think they're gonna do more. I don't think they know what year yet. Because with the Punisher special is
Yeah,
coming out in
in
a few
May.
weeks. Yeah, it's coming out right after Born Again season 2 is done, but before Spider-Man Brand New Day to show where Frank is. I'm like, okay, that makes sense because timeline wise,
Mhm.
they're trying to show where he is. I'm like, okay. Uh, when it comes to some other stuff, I could see I could see them bringing back some ideas maybe because like
Yeah.
I think the only real thing, the reason why they're slowing down some stuff is that like for the Marvel side of things, Kevin Feige and the Russos are like, okay, we know what character we're gonna put in Secret Wars. We're gonna keep adding it as we're filming it. So I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things where like I don't know.
Yeah.
I legitimately won't be surprised if Werewolf by Night shows up in Secret Wars, just
Oh
running
yeah,
around.
most
It's yeah,
likely.
yes,
I just like I'm just like it's weird that they did two of them in 1 year and then nothing ever since then. And of the holiday specials. Oh's is the weird thing to me. And it's a similar thing to like remember in Phase 4 when we had a whole bunch of Wong appearances and then nothing after that.
yeah. I just took that as Barry Wong, who loves playing that character. She got really busy, and they say, "Oh, don't worry, man.
Probably.
You're not gonna be back here until like Avengers, whatever." But even then, I get what you mean. It's okay. With the Multiverse Saga, I still have a lot of love and respect. In some ways, I think it's better than the Infinity Saga, just in terms of
Mm.
like more characters, more different corners of the MCU being shown.
Oh, no.
They're the only real consistent run through. Surprisingly, the only character actors that have been in phases 4 and 5, and now going to be in 6, is Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and then Sebastian as Bucky. I'm like, someone did the math. It's like, no, they've been in, and also I guess yeah, Florence Pugh is Yelena,
Yeah.
she's in phase 4 and she's in phase 5, and she's going to be in phase 6 with Doomsday. So I'm like, huh. So like the amount of people, because like even like what's his name, David Harbour as Alexi, he had years off in between, like so many different appearances, and then now he's getting back in to Doomsday. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of like fun, like it can be kind of fun, like with Hannah John Kamen as Ghost. She was in phase 3 of the MCU, and then her return was in phase 5. Like that's kind of cool, because she was
Yeah.
busy and they wanted to save us some time. But it can be jarring compared
Yeah,
to
it's
how it
just
was in the Infinity Saga.
I just find it interesting how like I understand that sometimes you have to wait a while between characters appearing. My thing though always like it's weird to do a whole bunch of stuff with a character or in a short amount of time and then just immediately stop doing stuff with the character
Yeah, I
or
get you.
and do and then or like doing two holiday specials in 1 year and then after that nothing.
Yeah,
It's weird.
yeah, I get
Oh,
that.
speaking of Marvel, we recently got a confirmation that Wonder Man is getting a season 2. Do you think that that's going to lead to us getting more season 2 confirmations, and particularly maybe some of the earlier or Disney Plus shows?
Um, yes and no. I think okay. I think what they're gonna do with season 2 of Wonder Man is if they can really get some stuff going, um, is uh, with Wonder Man, they had kind of like season 1 had an entourage type feel, like the amount of other actors they got in LA.
Mhm.
I wonder if they turn Wonder Man into the entourage of the MCU by having West Coast Avenger characters like She-Hulk and whatever, Shang-Chi, commit to showing up in season 2 as guest stars. You know what I mean?
Mhm. That
Because
makes sense.
I and then just see, because like even now with Daredevil, what they're doing with the Defenders. I'm like, okay, so you're really trying to show, the Swordsman, Kamala Khan's dad, whatever. You're really trying to make it's like Matt's going to be an anchor point for television on the East Coast of the MCU, while Simon's going to be a point for characters on the West Coast in America in the MCU. So there are many times where I'm like, okay, I do believe we're going to get more She-Hulk, more Moon Knight, more stuff like that. Um, with the fact we know, like, okay, personally, I think you and I we believe that She-Hulk is in Doomsday and Secret Wars, probably on Sam's team. They're keeping it a surprise for later. They
Yeah.
definitely already filmed stuff.
So,
But as regards for She-Hulk season 2, I can see that getting announced after, like maybe like right after Secret Wars, or like maybe sooner,
so.
because they have to announce, because here's the thing. The reason why they announced the X-Men MCU reboot so early is that they're gonna start filming later this coming year or next year, right?
Makes sense.
So like when it
Which
comes
is
to these shows, they have to really start announcing them for when they start filming them, you know?
which is interesting. It is interesting. Like they even announced like through deadline the confirmation of these things, like the like X-Men and Wonder Man season 2, because that is a very different thing to how they were before, where we didn't always know officially the things we're filming.
Mhm.
Like Black Widow and Shang-Chi, they were filming before or Marvel officially announced them
Yeah,
happening.
which
Happening.
I'm not gonna lie,
Black
I
Widow
do.
was literally thought of as a secret project.
No. I know, I remember because they were keeping. Remember, like when Endgame came out in April 2019, the only thing people knew was that Clint was getting a TV show, and then Natasha was getting a movie. This is after they announced the Black Widow
Mm.
movie, and there's some people who are like, "Oh, I guess she." Tomorrow, when the scene comes up, no one expected either one of them to die, because it's like, no, one of them, they're getting projects. So then, of course, we all saw who died in that, but I do kind of want
And like
Marvel to go back to filming stuff unannounced. But I
and then
think the
like
problem,
also until we got that confirmation in at the end of Loki season 1, on we didn't know that there was gonna be a Loki season 2.
yeah, which, I mean, the writers said we already wrote season 2, which I believe. But they were also like, we don't know when we're going to do it, because they were like, we had this ending plan to put Loki over here. We didn't know when that would be, because they were also thinking, if they wanted Tom to show up in a movie pre him becoming a tree, you know, it would have to be filmed like before the season 2.
Heck, Wonder Man season 1, we only found out that was filming because it got shut down by the Hollywood strikes.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember They said Destin Daniel Craig was developing a show. It being Wonder Man, I remember Yaya getting cast, but they didn't say when it was filming. They did not say when it was filming until later.
Yeah, there's yeah, so I think there's definitely this very big shift where they're like where like we're gonna announce things through the trades aids, versus like before we didn't hear about things until Marvel themselves put out an announcement.
Yeah. And um, I am excited to see what they can do next, game plan wise, because there's a lot of big
I
stuff
think
on the way, and then I already know the road to Secret Wars is basically the road to other stuff as well, because like they're prepping everything else after Secret Wars now,
uh,
and you were already getting some seeds for that. Uh,
I in regards to She-Hulk in like Avengers Doomsday, um a few weeks ago there was something about there was something about her, and I was talking about it with my friends on Twitter, her Sestra Hulk, and a scooper actually replied saying that there would be something about her happening in April. Which my friend assumed that they were trying to say that they were filming stuff with Tatiana Maslany for Doomsday in April. Which doesn't make sense. It's because, like as my friend said, she's busy doing a lot of other shows and O's filming in April. Oh, but what I said and the Scooper liked my comment was that CinemaCon happens in April, so they might be announcing some stuff for Zoom say at CinemaCon.
I think what they're going to, something I hope they do, because we're going to see Sam's team more in the marketing. Because I don't think we got the full, like, it's not just going to be Joaquin Scott. There's going to be some other people. I hope in April, around there, maybe sooner, they just put out like a sizzle reel, or like it contains some shots of Doomsday, but like a quick reel of New Avengers led by Bucky. We see that. Then it says New Avengers led by Captain America. And then we see who else Sam got along with Shang-Chi. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think they could do something like that. And then if they want to announce the rest, like Carol, who else is going to be in? Like I legitimately wouldn't be surprised if that's when they start getting into more stuff. Because I'm like, no. I already know. I personally believe there's going to be a big trailer attached to Spider-Man Brand New Day in July, because it feels like Marvel pro Marvel. And then of course Doomsday comes out in December. They're probably gonna have to put out another trailer, a final trailer in October, or November, maybe for Halloween or something like that. So I'm like, if they do start confirming Sam's team and some of the other big people in April, I can see that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a possibility of that, and I also to be honest, I think there's a chance that they put out an actual trailer or teaser trailer even before or Brand New Day.
No.
Just because I think that this film,
well,
they want to be marketing. I think they want to market it throughout the entire year.
Oh no! For example, you know what they could do is there were rumors that they were going to do a Doctor Doom trailer, because we haven't heard Doom's voice. Robert Downey Jr. is supposed to be doing an accent. The only shot we've seen of him outside of some posters is that post-credit scene in Fantastic Four. I think this is what they could do. In April, you make a trailer about Sam's team, but wherever he's got on his team. Maybe April or May, you put out there. In the summer for Comic-Con or for Brand New Day, you do a Doom trailer, and it's just by him and Reed. Because we actually haven't seen Pedro's Reed in any of the marketing yet. They haven't shown him yet. You show them together. Then in the fall, at October, November, you show the proper event. Like you show something actually. You show this is this. You show, in December 19th, it's whatever. The MCU is MCU 616 is in danger. Something like that. And then, I can see them doing that. Because with the character trailers so far, we got, one for Steve, one for Thor, one for the X-Men, and of course one for Shuri the Black Panther. Sam and his Avengers team hasn't gotten one yet. So if they put that one for April for CinemaCon, I see, because they're so very much focused on teams. For there's so many sides, so I see that being a thing.
I feel like at one of these live events, I feel like they're going to do something based on the Chairs announcement. Like I think there's with how popular the Chairs announcement was. I think they might do like a live version of that with new characters at one of these events like CinemaCon or Comic-Con or D23. I think there's a good chance of them doing something like that.
Oh, I can see that too. I can see, it would be kind of cool if to announce Sam's Avengers at CinemaCon, they have Anthony Mackie bring out the rest of the cast, at least for his side, because there's some surprises we can keep secret. Like, I think Kamala and some of the champions or young Avengers, what they're gonna call them, Catherine Newton, Kate Bishop, stuff like that. I think they're in the film. I think they want to make them surprises. But I'm not gonna lie. I can see them in the final trailer, final TV spot, just showing them there.
Yeah, makes sense. But is there anything else about Flash Gordon that you want to talk about before we end this off?
With Flash Gordon, I think in some ways, I think it's its own unique vision. It's a very you do get that feeling of you're going to another world. It's very fun. I think it's perfect for uh, watching with a group of friends or like watch by yourself. If
Oh
you
yeah.
haven't seen it, go watch it. And it's generally one of I think it's a very important comic movie and a very important science fiction movie. And I'm very looking forward to the next film or show of Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
He deserves to make a comeback, and I
Mhm.
hope more people watch the 1980 film.
Yeah. I think I think the one thing that I'm hopeful for or most with this with the next incarnation of it is that they is that it's a bit more comedic because like a lot of like the goofiness that's in this is just the unintentional goofiness of the is of just how things looked. Look, I want a lot more intentional goofiness and jokes and funny moments,
I can see
which
that.
I think that Taika Waititi will definitely do.
I could definitely see that. And if they can't get him to do Flash, I wouldn't. Um, the guys behind the recent Dungeons and Dragons, I could
I
see
could
them
see that.
matching Flash.
I feel like I feel like I think he was also one of the people behind Iron Scott Pilgrim. Um, Edgar Wright, I think could do it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can definitely see that. Uh, but yeah, I do think I wouldn't be surprised if we get a new Flash Gordon film within the next 10 or so years. I just my own personal thing because
I
it's
think,
been in development for
yeah,
a while.
I feel like there's a good chance of that. Yeah, I think it's really everything to say. If this film, so no, so I'm end this off. Thank you everyone for listening. If you like this game analysis, please give a 5-star review on our podcast. So a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the film, so please let me know. If you like to listen to more from me, please subscribe. Many more game analysis from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This game is your host, Master John, signing off.